Hello there, everyone, and welcome back for another exciting season of the OUA Basketball Show. My name is Griffin Porter. I am honored to be your host again this year for what's bound to be an incredible season of OUA basketball. You know, it feels like not too long ago that we were recording our final episode of last season, all the way back in March after the Carleton Ravens women's team were crowned the national champions. But a lot has changed since then in the OUA world, but one thing that hasn't changed is the fact that we are going to be right here bringing you the OUA Basketball Show for another season. Very excited. And you know, there's no point in beating around the bush because we've got a great guest this week. We don't really have any games or anything like that to recap. The OUA regular season starts this weekend, and we'll talk more about that after our interview. But first, we've got a great chat. We had him as our first guest last year, and we had him as our first guest again this year because we love him that much, of the TMU Bold, Aaron Rhooms. And you know, we had to run it back with our first guest of the year. Once again, he was our first guest of the year last year. He did such a great job. One of the stars of the TMU Bold men's basketball team, Aaron Rhooms. Welcome back to the OUA Basketball Show.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be back.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. You know, we were thinking about this is the big season kickoff show. We had to have our one of our big guests from last year, and it's been like an entire year since we talked to you, Aaron, almost exactly. So you've been through a lot in that year, a whole OUA season. You had your biggest CBL season to date. So I guess the first question is, like, I'm sitting here talking to an Aaron Rhooms that's a year older and a year more experienced. What's different from the Aaron I was talking to last year to the Aaron I'm talking to right now?
Yeah, definitely. Like I've gone through a lot in terms of the OUA and CBL, so I felt like I've grown as a player. Um, just experience wise, I just feel, maybe stronger, more knowledgeable of the game, more mature, and just ready to get going, really.
Absolutely. You guys have an exciting season ahead of you. Once again, you touched on the maturity there growing up. Are you going to try and take that into TMU this year? Obviously, you were already one of the leaders of the team, but you guys had a couple of veterans move on. You had a really exciting recruiting class moving in. The thing with U Sports is like every year the locker room dynamics shift, right? Guys naturally age out, they move on. Is there a new role coming for you this year? Or is it more of the same?
Most definitely. Like as you were saying, like obviously, like past few years where I've been on the team, I've had older guys, so I've always kind of been the leader, but now this year I think I've stepped into that role fully, given that I'm probably one of the longest standing guys with the program, probably one of the even the oldest. So yeah, it's definitely I've taken more of a leadership role. So it's just about like helping the guys. Ever since I got back from the CBL, I've been trying to teach the guys our system, how the game works and like the dynamics of the OUA, just trying to get them ready and, helping them off the court as well. I'm making sure they feel confident and comfortable, as a student as well, not just an athlete.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. Speaking of the CBL, since you touched on that there, you had a really fun season over there with the Edmonton Stingers, and I was just looking up the roster. I was like, there's so many great U Sports presences on this list. You had guys like Elijah Miller, who used to play out in PEI, Marcus Anderson, the great Adika Peter McNeely, of course, Brody Clark, and even current guys like Tay Donald. Like, were you able to learn anything from all those U Sports guys that you were playing with, like champions, like Marcus, and all that sort of thing?
Most definitely. I can just start off like at the beginning of the year, I was actually a roommate with Elijah Miller. And, he's a great dude. He would always just like tell me how the practices would go, and he would just say like, okay, this is how you should kind of operate in the practice, how go about it. He was telling me little tidbits about the CBL, just honestly just bigging up my confidence really. And then throughout the season, like Adika, Marcus, and Brody, like they're great dudes, and they're also like great vets, so they were just telling me like, giving me pointers on the go, again, like things about the CBL, things that I should know, and even sharing some stories about their experiences overseas, because obviously that's where I want to end up. So it was
of course,
just huge to have conversations and just get a glimpse of what it would be like when I get to that point.
Yeah, those are definitely like some U Sports alum that have great careers that everyone could aspire to. Going back to the TMU side of things, there, you guys had the first round playoff exit last year. I know that might not be what everyone wanted out of the TMU Bold. You're one of the great programs. So has that sat with you, or is that done time to move on, new season, fresh start?
Obviously, like it definitely stung when it happened, and I kind of detached from it in a way, but I've also kept in the back of the mind of that, like when this go around comes and we, get to the playoffs again, that's our goal. We want it to be different and just the way that, it was handled. So, just keeping that in the back of my mind, not necessarily focusing on it, but just knowing that we want to go farther than that this year.
For sure. You guys got a really exciting recruiting class in as well. You're looking at some of these first years
Yeah.
who are in there. Do you think they're going to be able to help with that?
Most definitely. I think now since we concluded the preseason, just seeing their growth from the first game, even the first practice to now, it's been exponential. Like they've absorbed all the information like a sponge essentially, and they put it to practice, and you can see it, just so quickly. So I'm pretty impressed, and I'm pretty excited for what's to come. You know.
Absolutely. I think everyone's excited for what's to come over there at TMU. Just before we let you go there, Aaron, because we're recording this just before the start of the season, you guys got long bus rides this weekend. Um,
Mm,
you sound excited.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's what's got to be done. It
Yeah,
has to be done.
it's the beauty of the OUA right there. You're
Yeah,
never gonna
yeah,
get that experience again. You
yeah.
you had a great personal season last year. You added another
Thank you,
All-Star
thank you.
OUA All-Star appearance to that. Do you have personal goals that you're hoping to set this season, statistically, awards wise, or is it all team stuff for you right now?
Right now, it's all team stuff. Again, like I just want to be the best that I can for my guys. In the program. Just making sure I can lead the best way. And if an MVP or whatever comes away, then
All right.
we'll see what happens.
I think, listen, MVP, I might be writing that in as a preseason prediction. I think that's a solid one for you right there. Good goal to
I
shoot for.
appreciate it. I
Uh,
appreciate it.
Aaron, you're one of the favorite guests of the OUA basketball show. Everyone's excited to see you and TMU this year, so thank you very much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me once again.
And our thank you again to Aaron for that great conversation. So, upcoming OUA season starts this weekend, folks. It's incredibly exciting. I'm incredibly excited. I know that you're incredibly excited as well. Our season kicks off Thursday night as the Guelph Griffins, both the men and the women's teams, play the Brock Badgers. I think that'll be two really exciting matchups to start the year. And then if you're new to the OUA show, we typically pick a game to watch for the weekend. So for the men's team, I'm actually just going to pick a couple teams to watch. I'm really excited to see TMU with Aaron and his teammates get their season started. I'm expecting big things from them this year. And also Queens had some losses over the offseason, a couple guys graduating, moving on. But I'm really excited to see what they can do again after an incredible year last year. And then on the women's side, I am going to pick an actual game because we've got a really juicy matchup as the Western Mustangs head into the Ravens' Nest to take on our defending national champs Carleton on Friday night, because the Western Mustangs added Jenna Button, friend of the show, one of our guests last year. That is a huge, huge addition for them. I'm really excited to see how she meshes in and fits with the Purple Ponies. And they've got a big test in Danny Sinclair's Carleton Ravens on that Friday night. So that'll be something that I'm really keeping a close eye on, because I got big hopes for Western this year. So this is a good test for them right off the bat. That's going to do it for today's episode, folks. My thank you, I should say, to everyone at the OUA, especially Chris, for showing faith in me to do this show again this year, and I'm really excited to do it. Thank you to all of you for tuning in. If you're a student tuning in, I hope the school year's going well so far, and exams will be here before you know it, so keep studying. And if you're not a student and you're just a fan of OUA basketball, let's get ready to enjoy some great, great OUA basketball. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next week when we'll have some actual basketball to talk about. I'm incredibly excited. Going to be a great year.